It's Q&A time. Trudeau number 1 asks, how long does it take to record and edit one of your videos? This one is going to take about an entire day to film, and then there's going to be countless hours tonight and probably tomorrow trying to edit it all together due to the transitions and cinematic effects I do. I will be doing a video on this in the future if you want to see the behind the scenes process. Right, Dirk at Sumo's Projects asks, how would you recommend getting someone into woodworking? Yes, a novice uses screws and glues, but once that's conquered, what's next? I have been teaching an evening class at the college I used to study at for the past few months or so, and we have been building a little book stand, and they absolutely love it. Most of them are office workers, they're staring at a computer all day, and they just need to get hands-on with something, and that's the case with a lot of people nowadays. Create a project that's nice and easy, maybe like 6 joints on it, maybe a half-lap dovetail, a mortise and tenon or something like that. Nice and simple, but give them something physical at the end to hold and something that they can progress towards. Just saying cut a joint or plane this bit of timber square, I mean, yeah, maybe it's satisfying planing wood for a few seconds or so, but at the end of the day, you've just got a flat bit of wood at the end of it. Make a project that they can work towards, and once they've done that, in the case of my evening classes, a lot of them want to come back and take more. So that would be how I get people into woodworking. Kuzla1 asks, do you play football? Favourite team? No, I do not play football. No, I do not follow football. Do you / will you do any metalwork in future projects? I've kind of done a little bit of metalwork in a previous project called Cognition. I'll put the link for that up here. Might be worth watching that. That's quite a fun one. Do you have a bloopers reel? Yes, if you look at any of my videos, you'll see the amount of cuts in them. That's where I've stuttered. That's where I've messed up my sentences. I have more bloopers than I have lived minutes of my life. That makes no sense whatsoever. Do you do all of your rough milling with power tools or by hand? I have done it with hand before, but I prefer to use machine tools. Again, look at my previous projects and you'll see. Drilling out mortises, chopping straight away, cheeks or shoulders first, tenon or mortise first. I did a video on chopping mortise and tenons entirely by hand, so go and watch that. How much consideration do you give to wood movement in practice? More on that later. How many questions are you willing to take from a single person? How do you know each comment is only from a single person? What does it mean to be a person? What does it mean to be a comment? Robert asks, the tools you use are very good but out of my price league. Could you recommend some budget-friendly options? Oh, right, so Robert, the budget-friendly tools I would recommend are Quancheng, which is sold by Workshop Heaven, and Rider, which is sold by Axminster. Both work really well and very good value for money. In terms of tuning tools up, I have not done a lot of it because I bought good tools from the outset because I knew it would be a good long-term investment. However, there is videos out there, one by Mitch Peacock off the top of my head, which is about an hour and a half long, and he shows you how to tune up a Stanley number 4. Oh, thank God the snow started melting. I couldn't get up this drive last night, so I had to park like down the road. Oh my Jesus Christ. Shogun Jimmy 1 asks, who do you watch on YouTube? So I don't actually watch a lot of other woodworkers on YouTube anymore because I'm focusing so much on my own stuff, like pretty much every single day, just sort of trying to grow it quite a bit. So when I am watching people on YouTube, I'm sort of watching those who are going to help my videos progress further. So a YouTuber I'm watching loads at the moment is Peter McKinnon. He's a photographer, videographer, and creates some amazing content and tutorials, and is why my videos have started becoming more cinematic the past few months because a lot of it is learned from him. I also watch quite a lot of travel videos as well because, again, the cinematography of stuff nowadays is insane. Sam Calder, that's Calder with a K at the start, is creating some insane stuff. Have a look at my year 2016. It is a mental video. Yeah, following on from that, actually, I got a question here from Sean at SE Woodwork. I met Sean a few months ago. He's got a YouTube channel. It looks like he just hit 8,000 subscribers, Sean, so nice work, keep it up. But he was asking what software I use to edit my videos and how I do amazing camera effects like zooming in really fast. So the software I use is Adobe Premiere Pro. Costs quite a bit a month, but you're probably a student, so you could get it for a bit cheaper. Happy days. And the zooming in effect, I'll show you how I do that in the behind the scenes video I'm planning in the future. If you want to know how to do that now, there's another great YouTube channel by the YouTuber Justin Odisho. So yeah, definitely have a look at that if you want to know how to do that now. Come on. Woo! Oh, right. Ian asks, what is your workout routine, or did you just get swole by hand planing and pounding on chisels? The hand planing and chiseling is my cardio aspect, or at least that's what I like to blag. I cannot be asked to do cardio. So I try and go 5 days a week, so that's chest and shoulders Monday, which is prioritising chest on that day, back and biceps Tuesday, legs Wednesday, chest and shoulders on Thursday, prioritising shoulders that day, and then arms on Friday, if I can squeeze it in. Today is Wednesday, which means leg day. God help me. Oh, Jesus. Right, next question by Joke Lols. Have you seen Game of Thrones? Joke Lols, why do you think I dress all in black and I've got this fur jacket on? I'm basically trying to be Jon Snow, come on. I saw on a forum the other day that someone had referred to me as the woodworking Jon Snow. I was like, that is the best compliment I have ever received in my life. It was amazing. Right, anyway, to the workshop. Where the bloody hell did I put my keys? Blake asks, what's the deal with your shop? It appears that you're at a store or something. Can we get a quick glimpse of the surroundings, power tools in the area? What is your daily job? Okay, so coming in through the main door, this is what the set looks like. Obviously, it's a bit of a mess. On the floor here, I've got my tripod set up and I've got little markings on the floor, so I know exactly where the feet need to be in order for me to get the same shot each time. So if this is parked on the tripod at 35mm on the camera, you can see it's pretty much spot on as soon as I get it in focus. So there you go, that is what it looks like from the tripod. So around here, let me just cut down on that bit, there you go. So I've obviously got lots of blankets hanging around, and that's to cut down on the echo in here because it's pretty terrible without them. I've got these glass cabinets behind it. So these are joints that I cut in previous videos. These are just random other joints that I've got. My first ever joints that I cut there, absolutely terrible. Projects that I started and didn't finish, but they look pretty cool. Dovetail guides and some exotic wood down here. I've got a nice old bin there. In this cabinet on the left hand side of the set, I suppose, is lots of veneer. I will be selling this on my website at some point, so keep an eye out for that. In terms of what's on the shelf behind me, I've got a bottle that I haven't washed out in ages, a certificate that I got for my workbench and the Krenov cabinet. Got a nice Marley speaker, some fake plants, and some books that I recommended in a previous video. This is an embroidery that my girlfriend made me, and it is the view from a cocktail bar in Weymouth. That's from like our first time away together, so it's quite nice to have something sentimental in here, I suppose. And then round here I've got my tool chest, a little bit of a mess at the moment, but sort of a sharpening station on top, maybe a bit of glue as well. And in this tool chest I've kitted it out with Kaizen foam, which is really good because at Rycote Wood I could see what I was missing, such as the case with these two knives here. In terms of my view from the set, this is what it looks like. It's a little bit sad, I know. The reason for this is because I might be downgrading the size of this unit because I don't need all this space, and there's no point digging into this one just yet because if I move, then, you know, it's just going to be a bit of a nightmare with machinery and stuff. So I'm holding fire on that at the moment, but around here I've got my wood storage, lots of excess stuff, a pull-up bar that I haven't installed on the wall just yet. This window looks straight through to the main entrance of Silver, which is really off-putting when I'm filming, hence why I've put this unsociable curtain up. So I put that up when I'm filming and then I don't get distracted by people looking through the window. Excess Kaizen foam on the floor, charging station for all of my batteries and such. Round here, this was my £100 workbench that I sort of upgraded to kind of perform like a roubeau. So you can see here that the legs are flush with the front of the bench, so I could clamp anything to that face. Big dovetail joint holding that cross member in. And this kind of doubles up at the moment as a finishing station. So this is a project that I'm doing on Instagram at the moment on the story. Just a simple natural edge elm shelf. I've got a groove going through the middle of it for some LED lighting. And this is going in my bedroom at home. And then round here, you know, just random junk. I feel so temporary in this workshop. This is an old router table that we used to have at Rycote Wood, just sort of been dumped in here. I don't have a router to fit in it, so it is being used as finished storage and glue and other such items, such as enamel paint. Yeah, I don't know either. So following on from that, Blake also asked, what's your daily job, as did a few other people. I have lots of different income streams at the moment. So I work at Axminster on weekends. That gives me a fairly sizable chunk of my income. Also ads at the start of videos. That gives me a small income. A little bit of affiliate marketing, sell plans for this workbench. And I've just got, like I say, lots of little things all added up into one. Another commenter here called Eric said, your videos are so good, sometimes it's hard to believe they're free. Thank you so much for that, Eric. Are the small YouTube ads enough, or is there more we could do to support you? Yes, Eric, I have started a Patreon page now to help me fund like new equipment and things like that, because I am starting to want to transition into making this a full-time living. I just need a little bit more like predictability and certainty in my income, because it's kind of like up and down. Obviously, you can't rely on ads all the time. Just need a bit of a sponge to land on, I suppose. Is that the right word? Safety net, that's what I was looking for. Michael asks, hey Matt, what are your favourite and possibly affordable timbers to use and why? Thanks for the videos, I love them. Thank you, Michael. I love having you as a viewer. God. My favourite timber to use that is affordable is actually ash. Despite hating it at the start of Rykerwood because we had to make all of our joint practice from it, we had to make all of our early projects from it because it was cheap for them, obviously. I got quite bored of it, but now it's kind of like come full circle and I love using it now. So yeah, I like using ash. I'm used to using it. I know how it all works. In terms of unaffordable timbers, I really like walnut, American black ideally. So I've got the end cap on the workbench here, and also my Krenov cabinet I made was also made from American black walnut. Jay Chapwick asks, can we see a difference in planing cuts between the various angles, i.e. 37, 45, 57, 62 degrees? Before I answer that question, this guy was the one who provided me with the Buddha pen, so that's really cool. So difference between planing cuts, I have kind of done a video on this in my video reducing tear out with a hand plane. However, this has given me the idea to, instead of doing it as a tutorial, just simply do an experiment. Just try it with different angles on the same bit of timber and see how it reacts. That might have been what you meant anyway, but yeah, I'll add that to my list. Walter here asks, hi Matt, what is the most challenging thing you have built? That was easily the first project that I ever did on YouTube, which was Cognition. It's like a curved cabinet. It had curved doors on it, so I was hinging on a curved surface. Extremely difficult to make and took so much planning. I did a series on building that, so you can watch that up here if you want. And there's also an overview video at the end if you can't be asked to watch the entire series. It was when I first started YouTube, so the videos are nowhere near as engaging as they are now, but stick with it, you might learn a thing or two. Jim asks, hi Matt, as well as everyone else waiting for you to start your next big project, are you going to be doing smaller ones too? Yes, Jim, as many of you know, I'm going to be starting a bass guitar in the next few weeks, which is going to be a really fun project, but I will definitely be doing smaller projects like nice intricate boxes and stuff like that, because that is exactly what I love doing. In fact, that will lead on nicely to my next question from Redemption 6. That is a cool name. How did you start becoming a carpenter? I got into woodworking sort of in GCSE level. I was always into craft and things like that, but while studying my GCSEs, I was starting to get really bored of the academic subjects, and I was really enjoying resistant materials, which is like wood, metal, plastic work. And towards the end, we had a guy come in who made bespoke boxes. And at that stage, I had never seen like proper craftsmanship before, or if I had, I'd taken it for granted. But he brought in these amazing boxes to show us, and instantly, as soon as I saw that, clicked. I knew that is exactly what I wanted to do. That is probably why I like making boxes so much, because it's something that I just aspire to. He does have an Instagram. I would recommend giving a look to it. However, he doesn't post very often on it, if at all, anymore. I think he just did like a one-time post and that just left it like that. I'll put the link to it in the description. Start following him and just start like commenting and things like that. You never know, he might start posting stuff again, but his name is Gary O'Shea. Marcus asks, why did you start a YouTube channel? Quite frankly, because I was sad, depressed and lonely. I explained this more in my 10,000 subscriber giveaway video, so if you want to know more, not sure why you would, but go watch that. Zach asks, have you got wood? If so, how big is your wood? Well, Zach, let me show you. It is over here, Zach. Oh God, look, this is how dark it gets in here during winter. Let me just spin the light around and bump the camera up. There you go, that'll work. Zach, that is the biggest bit of wood I have. So when you ask how big is my wood, it's about 2 meters long actually. But I mean, if you meant girth instead of length, then this is definitely the girthiest bit of timber I have. But yeah, I mean, it depends what you mean really. Girth, length, whatever you prefer. Cos asks, half-blind dovetails, more on the origins of the Jesus pen. Cos, I will be doing a video on half-blind dovetails at some point in the near future. Do not worry about that. In terms of the origins of the Jesus pen, I have no idea. I think I got it for Christmas a few years ago. Bought it into Rykerwood as sort of like a fun novelty item, and it's kind of just followed me ever since. It's worth plugging here. I am the only UK supplier of Jesus pens. So if any of you want them, I'm selling them on my website. Link up here for that. They're on a pre-order at the moment, but they should be arriving in the next few days, and I'll dispatch them straight away after that, in time for Christmas, hopefully. Stephen 1 asks, can you do a detailed video on the wedged mortise and tenon you used for the legs on Bertha? I did kind of cover it in the series that I did while making this workbench. However, David Barron, where I got the idea of this wedge tenon sort of thing, he did a video on it, like deconstructing it and showing how it all goes together. I think it's under the name Rubo Workbench Made Easy. Search for that on YouTube. It'll be like the first result that comes up, by David Barron Furniture. Rosie S1, also known as my biggest hater, also known as my girlfriend, asks, what hair products do you use? Why do you love wood so much? When will you quit YouTube? Will you ever stop swearing in your videos? Do you care about my kids? So what hair products do I use? I don't know, whatever's lying around. Why do I love wood so much? Why do you love wood so much? When will you quit YouTube? When will you stop sweat? Basically, all of this comes from when I accidentally dropped the F-bomb in one of my videos and lots of people didn't like it. I am very sorry about that. I didn't realise that I had young people watching my videos. So I do apologise for that in regards to the young ears that were listening. Graham asks, do you use SketchUp? If not, have you tried it? Yes, Graham, I definitely use SketchUp. I use it as sort of the intermediate point between drawing stuff on paper, then I put it on SketchUp and kind of see a 3D model of it, and then I take it to my CAD software where I draw my actual plans. Love SketchUp. Joseph asks, what's your favourite colour? Black. Rodrigo's got a really cool question here. How can hand tool woodworking be changed in order to make it a viable business model that can compete and expand its presence in a world dominated by MDF self-assembly sales? You know, this was actually one of the struggles that kind of got me into doing YouTube, because I didn't want to be, first of all, competing with that sort of market where you're competing with the likes of like IKEA and things like that. Secondly, I don't really like doing things to a budget and like just cutting corners, trying to do things as cheap as possible. I wanted to keep my enjoyment in my woodworking for as long as possible. Hence why I decided to try and get an income from filming, and then I can make a living from my woodworking doing it how I want rather than working for someone else. So in response to your question, I think the best way of doing that is to pretty much build a name for yourself. They're buying it from the fact that you have made it with your own hands rather than the fact that they just want a cabinet or something like that. I mean, an example of this, if you look at Jon Makepeace, who is like a legendary designer, a lot of his furniture you can actually only make with hand tools. Like if you try and do it by machines, it would be near enough impossible unless you tried to 3D print it. He has built a very respectable name for himself, and as a result, people with lots of money will pay for that, and his furniture is handmade. Although he gets other people to make it, but you know, you get the idea. It is handmade furniture, you're buying it for his name. Rob Harvey asks, how much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? Oh my God, I said that first time. This is very important to me. Before I answer that question, Rob was the one who wrote the music for the Workbench video that I did, the overview at the end. Really good musician, and if there's actually any creators out there who want like bespoke music, just drop him a message, because he might be able to do work for you. He hasn't told me to say it or anything, but being able to work directly with the composer of that music while making this video, I could choose when I wanted the music to speed up, I could choose when I wanted it to slow down to suit what I was doing in the video. Any creators out there, make use of that, because it really does take your videos to a whole new level. Saying that, I forgot to answer the question. I actually have no idea, Rob, although I could tell you how far a wood turning chuck throws a chuck key. When I was on a lathe a few years ago, I was tightening up the chuck and left the chuck key in, turned it on, and it flew. It goes quite far. Steve asks, hi Matt, bit of a long one, but many of the YouTube woodworkers that are very popular have quite bad techniques and miss some of the fundamentals of good woodworking. By this I mean their measuring, gluing, cutting, tool choice and quality. Most have quick results that look okay but won't last. There seems to be a big difference between UK and US channels. The US guys seem to focus on bashing things together, and if it's not tight, stick a screw in it. Do you think that these channels are encouraging people to, as Nick Offerman would say, I do like Nick Offerman, half-ass two things rather than full-ass one? Obviously that is a bit of a generalisation, but I do know what you mean by that. It used to be something that really frustrated me before starting this channel, watching all these people just sort of bash it together and then get loads of views for it. But looking at it now, I see how important channels like that are, because it's a very easy way to get people into woodworking. You know, we're moving into quite a digital world at the moment, so keeping woodworking alive and just working with our hands is something that we need to sustain for as long as possible. A lot of people are getting fed up with their computers and things like that. Like I said earlier with the people in my evening class, actually, they just want to start getting their hands dirty. I think if we have online influencers providing that for people, just allowing them to get into woodworking with the bare minimum amount of tools, that's great. What I'm aiming to do with my channel is provide something for the people who are watching those other channels where they sort of bodge stuff together. They're getting a bit frustrated there. I'm providing them with the content to grow their woodworking to the next level. So in an ideal world, obviously you'd be passing people from channel to channel and just getting people up to a really good stage at the end. I don't quite know where I fit in that, whether I'm more towards the end or sort of in the middle or the intermediate stage, but I really don't see the harm with channels like that. I mean, well, look at Steve Ramsey. He is absolutely killing it at the moment. He's doing that weekend woodworker course. The amount of people he's got into woodworking, the following he has generated from it, fair play to him, fair play to him. Sharp Edge Woodworking says, I'd like to hear your take on what I hear described as piston fit drawers, how you would approach this with wood movement in mind, and the subject of wood movement in general is always something interesting to hear about. So I'm not sure if do you know what I'm going to say anyway. Piston fit drawers. We did a project at the start of Rycote where it's this simple box with a drawer in it. I got it nice and snug, so it moved in and out with zero movement whatsoever. And once it was all finished, I took it home and I decided to use it as storage for my protection, should we say. And yeah, so sort of move on a few years, and there was a night when I needed to get access to said drawer, and the piston fit, or what was the piston fit, had expanded, and locked the drawer in place. Quite a frustrating position to be in, I suppose. You know, there's me trying to rip open this drawer that's got some goods in it. Yeah, that kind of killed the mood a bit. So piston fit drawers, I will be doing a video in the future on how to do that. Now I've learned from my mistakes. I'd forgotten about that. I'd successfully erased that from my memory. Thanks, Sharp Edge Woodworking. That was fun to bring back up again. Stuart asks, hi Matt, what was the technique you found most difficult to get to grips with and what did you do to overcome it? Straight up, this was marking out. I cannot emphasize the importance of accurate marking out. I always say it in my videos because it's something that loads of people rushed and it's something that I rushed for years. In most cases, that is the difference between what makes your woodworking really nice and crisp and good and what makes it look like an absolute dog's dinner. I had to really like drum it into my head to just slow down with the marking out and really think about what I'm doing. Make sure that I'm referencing from the correct faces each time. How can I increase the accuracy of marking this certain joint out? It's just, I'm still finding new ways of marking out joints that are going to improve their accuracy. In fact, when I was doing the joint frame the other day, I was marking out the through tenon and I used a marking gauge referenced from the face edge to mark out the tenon. Previously, like up until that day, what I would have done is just squared it down with 2 pencil lines, but then I thought, actually, if that end grain's out of square, that's going to put these lines out of square as well, and as a result, I'll get a skewed tenon. If I reference the marking gauge from the face edge each time, that means it's going to be perfectly parallel. Just something that I thought of on the day because I've been taking square end grain for granted up until this point. But yeah, I'm still learning how to mark stuff out, still getting to grips with it, but that is the technique that I found most difficult to get to grips with. WFall1, God, that's hard to say. Asks, one of the most frustrating things I find is that I don't have square, flat, straight material to begin with. Builder merchants sell PSE, but it's rarely square after I've stored it for a few weeks. Thus, as a beginner, should be the first thing you learn be how to square your material. Yes, you know what, I actually released my content from September onwards in an order kind of optimized for beginners. So starting at the bare basics of sharpening, and right now we're going on to a joint practice frame where we got through mortises and things like that. However, squaring timber by hand is something that I just missed out for some reason. I will do a video on that in the future. There is lots of them out there, but I'd like to put my own twist on it, obviously. And there are a few other tricks that I'd like to share with you to help, like with smaller sections if you're just working on boxes, for example. So yes, I will add that to my list. Great suggestion there. Tom asks, Matt, my question would be to discuss how you choose to prefer to build a structure for drawers in a piece of furniture. I'm looking for a traditional type install instead of metal guides. Tom, I did a video series on building a Krenov cabinet. It hasn't actually got a lot of views, even though it's one of my most favorite projects I've ever done. But within that, I did 3 drawers which were built traditionally. But yeah, if you want to see how I build traditional drawers, go and watch that video, but I will do a dedicated tutorial on it in the future. I will also add that to my list. Tommaso asks, that is a cool name by the way, what about European finishes? What finishes do you use, in particular oil-based finishes and wipe-on poly brands? It seems that every woodworker online seems to have like this go-to finish that they always use for all of them. What I like to use is Osmo. This is a oil and wax blend. I absolutely love it. It's really easy to apply. It's what I finished this workbench in, what I finished the Krenov cabinet in. In fact, all the projects that I've done for YouTube, I've finished in this stuff. And because I fear this video is getting quite long, I will finish up with this comment from Apentogo. Why not grow your hair and beard out? Do it. Sorry, questions. Do it? Would probably look dope. Seriously, blacksmiths and woodworkers with big beards and long hair, even if tied back, looks dope as Yeah, I've been getting quite a lot of comments recently about the growth of my hair. This is generally what I do. I get a haircut like 4 times a year, like maybe even 3 sometimes. But yeah, I'm like really bad at maintaining my look. I just sort of like let nature do its thing. So yeah, I don't know what's happening with my hair. Might get cut, might just let it grow out. In terms of the beard, my facial hair is extremely patchy. I end up looking like one of those 20-year-old kids who used to hang outside secondary school for his 13-year-old girlfriend. So I tend to like keep that under control a bit. In fact, I think it's getting to that stage now. I best get rid of it. And there you go, guys. Hope you found that interesting. Obviously, if I didn't answer your question here, or if you have any other burning questions in the future, just continue to like comment them below my future videos. And what I'll do is I'll add them all together and then just do like an informal Q&A every couple of months or so, especially if there's questions that keep cropping up time and time again. I would like to keep you guys up to date on things. So yeah, thank you for the great engagement. That was really good fun. I'll see you later.